We need to talk about that particular pause that arrives after the pleasure. You know the one. The drink is finished, the smoke is stubbed out, or the night is ended, and suddenly your mind does this quiet, anxious backward glance. It's like you're checking a receipt that no one asked for. You ask yourself, did that count against me? The moment itself was ordinary, a laugh, a body being a body. But then self surveillance turns up like a neighbor peering through the curtains. Suddenly your pleasure has become evidence. You start grading your vibration in hindsight. If you've ever felt that tightening in your chest after having a good time, it's worth noticing what's actually being asked. It's not, did I have fun? It's, did I break an invisible rule? That question alone tells you there's law operating somewhere inside you. And that is where the real conversation begins.
I've watched this story change outfits over the decades. In older eras, it was blunt. Religion drew thick lines around clean and unclean. Then many left those institutions expecting freedom, only to find the same policing energy waiting for them in the spiritual realm, wearing softer clothes. Now it's low frequency instead of sin. It's alignment instead of righteousness. New language, old reflex. The gavel just changed hands. Online spirituality often sells certainty the way old religion did. Lists, rules, absolutes. Never do this, always do that. It soothes anxiety for a second, but it trains dependency. You stop trusting your own nervous system and start asking strangers to interpret your life for you. Before we even touch the question of drinking or sex, we have to ask, whose rules are you living by, and when did you agree to them?
Here's the irritating truth. Reality doesn't care what you claim to believe. Reality obeys what your subconscious accepts as law. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. That's not a pep talk, it's a biological diagnosis. If you privately believe a glass of wine lowers your vibration, then for you, drinking becomes a sabotage ritual. If you believe sex drains your power, then sex becomes a leak in your story. Not because the universe is petty, but because your system organizes your reality around the meaning that you installed. This is why it's so annoying to see someone else do the same things and still land in the outcomes you want. It suggests that reality isn't running a moral deserving. It responds to coherence. It responds to what you repeatedly treat as true.
People hate that because morality feels like a handle. If the world is moral, you can bargain with it. If I'm good, I'll be safe. But life behaves less like a sermon and more like physics. Gravity doesn't check your intentions. Electricity doesn't ask if you've done your inner work before it shocks you. When we turn vibration into good versus bad, we're just back in the old courtroom. Historically, moral frameworks have been used to manage behavior at scale. If you can make someone feel guilty about ordinary impulses, they are easier to steer. Once the judge is inside your head, no one needs to stand over you.
Instead of asking, will this ruin my manifestations? Try a question with more leverage. What does this act represent to my mind? Two people can do the same thing and broadcast completely different signals. For one person, a drink is a harmless social ritual. For another, it's a weekly self-erasure followed by the morning after shame fog. One person has sex and feels more alive. Another feels like they traded self-respect for a moment of relief. The act is the same, the meaning is different. And the shift happens after the fact. It's the story that follows the act, the internal lecture, the I've ruined everything melodrama. What state do you return to after the moment? And do you recognize that state as you?
Your system is always asking one question: can I rely on you? Every time you tell yourself, I'm not doing this anymore, and then you do it anyway, a part of you files it under unreliable. Every time you punish yourself with an inner lecture, another part files it under unsafe. Over time, your self trust becomes paper thin. When self trust is thin, confidence becomes performative. You can say affirmations all day, but your subconscious is whispering, we don't actually keep our word. Confidence isn't bravado, it's the feeling that your inner yes has weight. Without it, your nervous system stays in negotiation mode, like a committee that can't agree on lunch. Guilt isn't a spiritual punishment, it's a signal that your inner agreements are out of alignment with your actions.
Think of your experience like a radio station. There are countless stations playing simultaneously. You don't create the music by wishing, you experience the music that you turn to. Frequency isn't good or bad, it's just a signal. If your dominant signal is self betrayal, the station plays more self betrayal. Shifting your frequency isn't about becoming pure, it's about becoming coherent. It's about reducing the split between what you claim and what you live. When you hear raise your frequency, translate it into this: reduce the verdicts, reduce the internal prosecution, let choices be choices. The less you narrate yourself into a corner, the more options reality seems to offer.
There's a sneaky trap here, the addiction of being right about your limitations. When a feared outcome happens, a part of you says, see, I knew I'd sabotage it. That certainly feels like relief because uncertainty is exhausting. But you're just arranging evidence for a ritual of failure. Being right about your limits feels safer than being wrong. Because if you're wrong, then responsibility returns. And responsibility is a heavy coat when you've been cold for a long time. It's almost comic how fast the mind turns one incident into a biography. I drank becomes I have no discipline, becomes nothing works for me. That isn't insight, it's a runaway story. You don't need a miracle to stop it, you just need a moment of sanity where you refuse to turn a single chapter into the whole book.
The modern spiritual marketplace sells rules because certainty gets click, but it trains you to distrust yourself. You watch a video about low vibe habits, and suddenly you feel haunted by being human. That content didn't reveal reality, it installed a filter. Does a teaching make you feel more spacious or more monitor? Does it give you agency or does it make you dependent on the next rule? Stop outsourcing your authority to whoever sounds the most confident.
Don't make this another self improvement project. Just start with the after. After the drink, do you call yourself weak? If guilt shows up, don't treat it like an oracle, treat it like information. There's a massive difference between changing a habit because it's harming you and changing it because you were told it makes you unworthy. Change from self respect causes the nervous system to relax, whilst change from self loathing causes it to tighten. And a tightened nervous system always craves escape, which makes the habit harder to break. To break it, remove the theatre. No grand vows, just honesty. This helps me, this numbs me. It's quietly powerful to stop moralizing your behavior and start listening to what it does to your sense of self.
Here's the paradox: the universe doesn't require your purity, but your nervous system does require your integrity. Integrity isn't perfection, it's wholeness. It's when your inner yes means yes, when you stop making dramatic vows that you don't intend to keep, vows that are just future guilt in fancy clothing. Your signal stabilizes. You're clear, and clear is powerful because you stop leaking attention into constant self management. Manifestation isn't about forcing the world to cooperate, It's about becoming a person who doesn't need constant reassurance. That calm neutrality is sovereignty.
So, do drinking, smoking, or sex destroy your manifestations? Only if they become part of a story that corrodes your self trust and keeps you tuned to an identity you've outgrown. If pleasure is simple and clean in your system, let it be simple. If a habit is harming you, address it because you love yourself, not because you're afraid the universe is keeping a tally.
You don't need to be a morally perfect person to have a different life, but you do need to stop treating yourself like a suspect. Your nervous system cannot build a new reality while it's busy defending itself. The next time you feel that post pleasure pause, that did I ruin it? Try this. What story did I just tell myself, and do I want to keep living inside it? That question isn't flashy, but it's honest. And honesty has a strange way of changing the channel. No drama, just a clearer signal and a kinder inner atmosphere.
If this conversation loosened the knot for you today, take a second to let the platform know. A like helps this travel to someone else sitting in that inner courtroom. And if you want to keep exploring this kind of inquiry, subscribe and hit the bell. It means these conversations can find you again without the effort. So until next time, think differently, dream boldly, and create consciously.